The 1980s witnessed a fascinating paradox in car design. This led to iconic designs that remain influential to this day. Today, we're going to look at some of these cars and see how they shaped a decade. The Lamborghini Countach is a car that truly embodies the flamboyant and the audacious spirit of the 80s. It's a legend, a poster child for bedroom walls, and a testament to the wild creativity of Italian design. It holds a special place in my heart, and many other car enthusiasts, I'm sure. Marcello Gandini, its designer, created a shape so radical, so utterly different from anything else on the road that it practically stopped the show. With its low-slung wedge profile, scissor doors, and futuristic lines, it was like something out of a science fiction movie. The initial production version, the LP400, actually debuted in 1974 and was powered by a 4-liter V12 and produced 375 horsepower. This was enough to propel it to a top speed of around 180 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest cars in the world at the time. But it was about more than just raw speed. It was a sensory experience. It was also notoriously difficult to drive, with its heavy steering, poor visibility, and a clutch that could challenge even the strongest of legs. Over the years, the Countach evolved, gaining more power, wider tires, and even more outlandish styling. The LP400S added the iconic wing spoiler, while the LP5000QV boasted a 5.2-liter V12, pushing output to a staggering 455 horsepower. In the market, it was a resounding success. It became a symbol of wealth and excess, a car for the bold and the daring. Its competitors, like the Ferrari 308 and the Porsche 911 Turbo, were certainly capable machines, but they lacked the Countach's sheer presence and drama. It was in a class of its own, a true icon of the supercar world. The Testarossa was a legend of the 80s, a car that truly captured the spirit of its time. The Testarossa, or Redhead in Italian, was a nod to the cam covers on its engine, which were painted in the signature red color. It was a mid-engined marvel with a 4.9-liter flat 12 that churned out 385 horsepower. The rear mid-engine layout, with cylinders longitudinally mounted, it gave the car a lower center of gravity and that signature wide stance. And that sound, it was a guttural roar, a mechanical symphony that could make the hairs on the back of your neck stand. It was a car designed to be driven and driven fast. Its performance figures were nothing short of impressive: 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 5 seconds, and a top speed of 180 miles per hour. Of course, no discussion of the Testarossa would be complete without mentioning its iconic design. Those wide side intakes, the pop-up headlights, and that low-slung silhouette. It was a car that looked like it was going 100 miles per hour, even when it was standing still. Some called it flamboyant, some called it excessive, but everyone agreed. The Testarossa was a head-turner. It was a massive success for Ferrari, selling nearly 10,000 units during its production run. It was the car to have in the 80s, gracing the driveways of celebrities, athletes, and anyone who wanted to make a statement. It was a symbol of success and power. Produced from 1978 to 1981, the M1 was a radical departure for BMW, and it was their first mid-engined supercar. It was actually a homologation special, built to meet racing regulations. Though it was a financial disappointment, it was still a head-turner, with its low-slung wedge-shaped body, designed by the legendary Giorgetto Giugiaro. Underneath that fiberglass was a 3.5-liter straight-six engine, which churned out 277 horsepower and 239 pound-feet of torque, enough to propel it to a top speed of 162 miles per hour, making it the fastest German road car of its time. Its performance was nothing short of exhilarating. 0 to 60 took just 5.4 seconds, and it could do the quarter mile in 13.8 seconds. Those numbers might not sound earth-shattering today, but in the 80s they were. The M1's story wasn't without its challenges, and its development was plagued by delays and financial difficulties. Only 453 units were ever built, making it one of the rarest and most sought-after BMWs ever. Despite its limited production run, it made a significant impact. It competed in the Pro Car Championship, a one-make series that saw professional drivers battling it out in identical M1s. The M1 cemented BMW's reputation as a builder of high-performance machines and laid the foundation for the M-Series cars that we know and love today. It's a car that embodies passion, performance, and exclusivity. The Fox Body Mustang is a true icon of American muscle, and it was produced from 1979 to 1993 and was named after the Fox platform it was built on. Now, the Fox Body Mustang was a significant departure from its predecessor, the Mustang II. Remember, the Mustang II was a product of the fuel crisis era, smaller and, let's face it, a bit tamer than its ancestors. The Fox Body brought back the swagger, with a longer, lower, and a wider stance that harked back to the original Mustang spirit. It was a breath of fresh air for enthusiasts who yearned for the classic Mustang vibe. From the four-eyed look of the early models to the sleek aero styling of the later ones, there's a Fox Body for everyone. Early models offered a range of inline-4 and V6 engines, but the real stars were the V8s. In its early iterations, it produced around 140 horsepower, but by the late 80s, thanks to fuel injection and other refinements, it was pushing over 225 horses. It was a sales success for Ford, reigniting the Mustang's popularity and solidifying its status as an American icon. It also spawned a vibrant aftermarket scene, with countless companies offering performance parts and accessories to make these cars even faster and more unique. Chevrolet's Camaro and Pontiac's Firebird were its main competitors, and the rivalry between these pony cars was fierce. Each had its own strengths and weaknesses, but the Mustang held its own, thanks to its combination of performance, style, and affordability. The Lotus Esprit Series 2 and 3 were mid-engined marvels, born in the late 70s and early 80s, and represent a fascinating period in Lotus's history. They weren't just pretty faces, they were the epitome of lightweight, agile sports cars with a touch of exotic flair. It initially carried over the 2-liter Type 907 four-cylinder engine, but a more significant update came in 1980 with the introduction of the 2.2-liter Type 912 engine. This larger engine brought a welcome boost in torque, making the car more enjoyable to drive. Its lightweight fiberglass body and a nimble chassis made it a joy to toss around corners. The steering was sharp, and the ride, though firm, was not overly harsh. However, it wasn't without its quirks. Build quality was a bit hit or miss, and the interior, while stylish, could feel a bit cramped. In 1981, Lotus introduced the Series 3, which brought further improvements. The S3 received a more refined interior with better sound insulation and more comfortable seats. Performance-wise, it retained the same engine, delivering around 160 horsepower with a 0 to 60 time of around 6.5 seconds. Not blistering by today's standards, but certainly respectable for its time. It competed with rivals like the Porsche 924 and the Ferrari 308 GTB, undercutting them significantly on price. And while its performance was respectable, it still lacked the finesse of its German and Italian rivals. Despite these challenges, it still remains sought after today. The DeLorean is more than just a car. It's a symbol of the 80s, a pop culture icon, and a testament to one man's dream to build the ultimate sports car. It was the brainchild of John DeLorean, the legendary automotive engineer behind the Pontiac GTO. He envisioned the DeLorean as an ethical sports car, prioritizing safety and longevity. Its most striking feature, of course, is its unpainted stainless steel body. This, coupled with the iconic gull-wing doors, made it an absolute head-turner. Underneath its futuristic exterior, however, was a rather conventional rear-engine, rear-wheel drive layout. Power came from a 2.8-liter V6, jointly developed by Peugeot, Renault, and Volvo, producing a modest 130 horsepower. Now, 130 might not sound like much, especially by today's standards, and it's true because it wasn't a speed demon. Many reviewers clocked it at around 8.8 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour, which was a bit sluggish even for the early 80s. However, the DeLorean wasn't just about raw power. It was about the experience, the style, and the feeling of driving something truly unique. Sadly, its story is a bit of a tragedy. Plagued by production delays, cost overruns, and quality control issues, the DeLorean Motor Company went bankrupt in 1982 after producing only around 9,000 cars. Despite its commercial failure, it has achieved cult status, thanks in no small part to its appearance in the Back to the Future trilogy. Today, it's a highly sought-after collector's item, with well-maintained examples fetching big prices.